Welcome to Tell the Damn Story, the show that explores the many ways to navigate the successes and failures that aspiring and struggling writers face to make your journey that much easier.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tell the Damn Story. We're going to get right into it tonight because we have a lot of turf to cover, and time is limited, of course. We have some esteemed guests, friends of the show returning. We have the legendary Omar Holman. He, of all things, Black Nerd Problems, and a great ongoing conversation about one of his major passions, comic books on, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. Go Omar Holman and just see, he talks great stuff. And then we have Stephen Van Patten. He of the Brookswater Curse vampire series. He of stage managing television. I don't know how much I can say about that, but that's what he does. He has so much.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Damn it.
The man's got cred.
There he is. He's on cred. He has creds. He's on creds, something like that. And then, of course, the legendary Alex Simmons. Been wanting to have this conversation since I first saw this film. I think Sinners, Ryan Coogler's film, latest film, is one of the best films that has been produced by an American director or put out by an American director in maybe 20, 25 years. There's the more you see it, the more holy shit moments there are in that film. And I couldn't think of better people to talk about it with than the mighty SVP and the legendary Omar Holman. So welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Yes.
How are you?
Thank you.
By the way, folks, please stick around towards the end because there's going to be some goodies there too.
So, ladies and gentlemen, can we start with just in general? What was your reaction when you saw Sinners?
And I'll go last.
Steven, you going first?
Yeah, Steven.
Okay, I'll go first. It was a mix of elated, and there was a lot of damn, I wish I had thought of that. Being honest, because my vampire series, I stepped out of Jim Crow because I have a black vampire main character. And I was like, if he sits through most of Jim Crow, that's not going to work. So I shipped my guy off to go hang out with vampire samurais for a few years. And then I bring him back, and he still should have probably been losing his mind because it's not like shit's changed enough for you not to lose your mind if you are a black vampire. But anyway, I digress. There were so many feelings I walked away with just in terms of, and no big surprise, Ryan Coogler doesn't know how to make a movie. So, of course, the cinematography is crazy.
Sure.
The fact that you've got the most seamless one person playing two characters.
Oh, yeah.
At the same time that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
That alone should get them some number of statues. Just forget the plot and how beautiful it was and the whole thing and everything. It left me emotional. Delta Slim's speech, the self-sacrificing as we go through the story. Yeah, there was so many different things, so many different notes that this movie hit. Yeah, I left with this weird mix of just coming out of being spellbound, and I was elated.
But even when watching the movie for like the first time, all the turns taken, I couldn't tell where this was going. Usually you see so many like tropes in like horror movies and things like that. The dope thing about Coogler is he'll break away from tropes when in his films and stuff like that. So I couldn't even tell, okay, this is going to happen. Oh, this is going to happen. Or I thought maybe they'll all make it out alive. And I'm like, oh, nobody's making it out alive. Which I love even more, which means, oh yeah, there's real stakes here. There's real, like, this isn't going to have a fairy tale ending. It'd be nice if it was, but like, nah, like there's real stakes here. Not everybody will make it out alive, which always makes reading something or watching something so much more. It just elevates it to me. And you talked about it was a great performance of Michael B. Jordan where like one person playing two people. I always feel like that's a sign like at some point in your acting career, you're going to either play like you're a twin or a clone of yourself. Michael Keaton in Multiplicity, Jean-Claude Van Damme, he did it. There's always all these movies where actors do that. And I'm always like, all right, we'll see how it goes. Michael B. Jordan, I'm like, like you said, it felt so natural. It felt like two different people. It felt so natural. It was truly amazing. Even though I thought that could have been like because you can go cheesy with that, but nah, it felt If Art Imitates Life, it really felt so lively watching this.
One of the things I will say about that double performance is that you were never confused.
No.
Smoke was one way and Stack was another. They were two very separate, very independent of each other and complementary towards each other performances. I think Michael B. Jordan needs some attention on that front. That's a great working relationship, Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler.
Yeah.
They've done great stuff, and I think this might be the best that they've done together. There is some legendary stuff to go against. Some people might say the first Black Panther, some people might say even Fruitvale Station and stuff like that, but this was really amazing. Alex, before we go anywhere specific, do you want to talk about general, or you?
I will. There was that getting into that world and that section of the world. I like being here. This is cool. And then it happens. And I want to leave. And like those people trapped in that house, I can't go. And I got to stay and I got to watch. Jim, son of a. And again, quick reference to Salem's Lot. Yeah, there were people dropping like flies during that book. But the one that hit me to where I could not pick up the book for days was when the baby was taken.
Yeah.
The moment the vampire killed the baby in that book, I threw the book down, and it took me days to get back to it to finish reading the story.
Yeah. That's one of the strengths of Stephen King is that
Right, and I felt
very many
like
readers
that with
throw that
this.
book
I
across the
felt
room.
like that with this, and there were certain moments with this where that hit me, and I'm sitting there, son of a bitch. So that's my lead in to this. I will also say that someone who's missing from this would be one of my sons, because he's seen the film 9 times.
God damn.
Yeah, you should have sat in on this.
Yeah.
You make a good point with Salem's Lot, because that book is first and foremost about the life of a town. And then the vampires are added in. This is about Jim Crow, about the South, about trying to make something out of nothing, about two guys with shadowy pasts that are coming home, stranger comes back to town type thing. Definitely about race, definitely about the effects of oppression. Both big groups represented here, Southern African Americans and the Irish. They have both been oppressed for about 800 years each. I thought that was an interesting selection, but every interview I hear with Ryan Coogler, he never talks about those things as an agenda. He always talks about, I had this one little threat, and then he started researching. His uncle was a big blues guy growing up, and he wanted to use some of that. And then he was thinking about the vamp, but researching the mythology behind blues, then he started getting the bag that one of the Michael B. Jordan characters carry.
Oh, right.
John Cacaruccio, whatever it's
What is
called.
the word?
That's all Noreen.
Talisman. Yeah,
It's a soul bag or a look bag or something. I forget what it's. I forget the term. Native Americans do that. I have a friend of mine who always had one. So the culture becomes more of the tapestry, and then he starts seeing those myths and the crossroads myth from blues mixed in with the hoodoo of the South. Then there's a couple of quotes where he says, I thought I was making a little movie, a small movie, and then I realized, oh shit, this movie's huge. And it is, and it's one of the great things is it takes place in a very contained area, and it speaks volumes about so many layers of American society and that kind of stuff. I just think we can go on and on about this, but let's try and break it down a little bit. We have begun to talk about Ryan Coogler in some of our comments. Let's see if there's anything else we want to point out or talk about. He did this really well, or let's give him some flowers. What do we think about Ryan Coogler's performance in directing this film?
You talked about his world building, like he started with a little thread and then it becomes like larger. We've seen him do it in Black Panther, the way he can delve into cultures as well. See, like there was a reason why it was Choctaw natives that was chasing him in the beginning as well, because they had donated to the Irish during I think the potato famine. And I
Yeah.
like that, like to research facts like that, to not even know it. I'm like, I had no idea that was a thing. And then there's
Oh
a
yeah.
statue over in Ireland, a monument, little monument to that as well.
Yeah.
So seeing like everything is connected as well. So there's a flip side between the Irish and like the black. It's like when Stack asks him, y'all clan, he's up, sir, no, there's that oppression there, but then also it was a small glimpse into it, but like a connection with the Choctaw and the Irish, him
Yeah.
Remic being Irish in the very like in the beginning, and then we see it throughout and played differently between Stack Smoke and Remic as they're black and they're Irish, but like those different sides of oppression, and then him letting them know, oh yo, I mean, they were gonna put the Klan on you guys,
Yeah.
like
I mean, if you think
it's
about it,
better over here, like come
the
on, like
Choctaw, the Irish, the African American,
Chinese.
all
Chinese,
Chinese,
yes,
they're
Chinese
all
as well,
oppressed
yeah,
by the same group.
yes.
I don't want to say nothing.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, some folks got around.
The fuck is?
But
I'm sorry.
even like you pointed out the Chinese as well, because a lot of folks are like, what were they doing? They're like, nah, they had influence in the South as well. Like they were there. That is accurate. So he works almost like a historian as well. Like he'll take these things from the things he takes from history, doesn't bend it, but like he can just use the truth. He doesn't have to like, oh, I'll flip it this way. No, like this thing happened. It supports this. All right, cool. These will all be references to that, and you can do the research on your own, which makes things so much more fun when you're watching something or reading something as well to look into more things.
Because then it wakes
If I
people up to things they might not have known or considered in prior.
Exactly.
if I could add something to that, I just in prep for this, I listened to a New Yorker interview with Ryan Coogler, and he talked about doing all that research because he would hate for someone from one of those groups, a blues musician, a hoodoo, Choctaw, to sit and have the movie ruined because they didn't do their homework. And I love that responsibility to the audience, and you serve the story by serving the audience.
Yes.
You get all that stuff in until
Get it right.
it's fabric, it's background, and it seeds situations and goes on and on from there. Fantastic. Even oh my God, Tyler is Alex's godson. He's going to kill me for this. Oh, now I remember. Haley Stanfield's character. And it was like a brief, should we go viral about this? And that didn't have any real legs on it. But because the statement that it was making, and there's actually a couple of levels of statement, but that whole idea about passing, not passing, who's your family?
Yeah.
No one else can tell you what you are. And that was her home and her family. But she screwed up when she tried to do the pass to see what they were doing. The people who weren't allowed in at first, but if they had money and their money spent good, that's why they took a bite out of crime on her.
The thing of it too is that Ryan, the story. Let me just put it that way. The story lets the characters be true to their nature, and to make the mistakes, assumptions, efforts, that they would make. But every decision each person made, whether it was a mistake or not, I went, I see that.
Character,
I see that. And it's bad when you know that somebody who you like in a story is going to go do something totally natural, something that's an everyday thing, and they're not coming back.
Yeah.
They're going to come back as, and this is one of the things that gets me about vampire films and concepts for decades, is that with the possible exception of one or two stories that I've been introduced to.
But them being vampires allows this opportunity for Coogler to have the Irish vampires sell vampirism to these folks as a persuasive, better deal than they were getting in Jim Crow America. That to me was the best moment of horror. And the thing that that was the stake. There was so much to think about there. I don't know. I just wanted to lay that out there since we are now in the script part of the discussion. Agree, disagree?
I agree with you. I don't think anything that I said is any different than what you said.
No, it's in addition to
another point. Yeah. But anyway, what did you guys think?
So as the movie progressed, so first of all, I'll say, in addition to other flowers that Mr. Coogler will receive from the four of us, I'm going to throw in the fact that
he's been waiting.
Yeah, exactly. I'll throw in how there's certain things you're not going to see from your average, sorry, white directed horror film, just for the simple fact that usually if one of us is included in any horror movie, it's more as a caricature as opposed to an actual character.
The
One of
character's
them,
name is First Victim.
exactly. So it's like everybody had an equal amount of character development. Everybody had everybody was given a reason for the audience to care about them.
Yeah.
Which, just to backtrack on Salem's Lot for a second, is the strength of the book. But this latest HBO incarnation,
please.
They missed it.
totally missed the point because it was like Salem's Lot speed dating.
Yeah.
You didn't care, even though, and they put a little black boy in as Mark Petrie. That my initial response to that was like, oh, that's lovely, that's wonderful. But then you don't introduce the parents, you don't care. Stop it. This Sinners is the exact opposite, because by the time the shit really starts landing, you care about everybody.
Yeah.
You, even just the random cats in the bar, you care. You're invested. It's, oh shit.
It tells me don't pass out any place.
Here's one other thing that really stuck with me, and that might just be from the fact that, so years ago I used to work on a little television show called Total Request Live.
Oh shit.
An MTV thing. I was one of the stage managers. I used to put these people where they're supposed to be, and they look at the right camera, hopefully, and occasionally I'd get yelled at by the directors and so on. So that kind of accelerated my understanding of the demise of hip hop. And when I watched this movie, it reminded me of the appropriation that I was witness to as I stood there watching socially conscious rappers be replaced by nothing but mumbling gun violence. I'm selling drugs, and the music is basically has no place in life outside of if you're walking very slowly through a strip club. So it spoke to me in a different kind of, because now all of a sudden everybody's so spoilers, whatever. So we went from everybody being in this sort of like weird space of this music thing that Sammy is because let's face it, Sammy drew them there with the music.
Power of his music, sure.
And it's literally, is this how the roof is on fire thing started? Like, it's like, you're wondering, you're sitting through all that, you're wondering, like, oh my God. And then who shows up? Cultural appropriators. And that was the thing that really, as I'm sitting there, I'm just all like in another space now, because it reminded me that this happened with Black music in this country. It's like the most dramatic analogy of it I've ever seen. Because I could tell people, oh yeah, I was at MTV when this happened and that happened and this and that, but they won't see how I'm actually very disappointed by my role in all of that. But with this movie, it's, oh yeah, okay. Because now all of a sudden everybody's outside doing an Irish jig. And because we've developed this hive mind, because the goal has changed. It went from celebration of music and having a good time into now we're all together in this weird sort of vampire dysfunction, but we're together, yay! And that was where I think I was going with that.
It's really interesting.
You are? Oh yeah, me.
Great conversation. This is such a great conversation, man. When you were saying like, oh, Remic basically turned into like a used car salesman. Hey, I can get you out of this shit. Slap on top of Hyundai, except like the Hyundai is like vampirism to get you out of this. Y'all facing it's oppression versus a hive mind, but we're hive mind assimilation, right? And it's a hard choice. All right, I can survive this shit. I have the power to survive. I'm immortal, whatever. Just can't be out in daylight. There's sunscreen, whatever. But to do that, you're giving up who you are. And we see vampirism differently sometimes. Sometimes it's you're part of the hive mind. Sometimes you're just a vampire, or you're under the influence of who turned you, or sometimes you're just a vampire, whatever. This one's like, all right, assimilation and everything. And it was a dope choice because we see Stack trying to convey that to Smoke. Hey man, like this is the way out. I'm over here now. Yeah, it was rough, but I'm over here. This is it. And then Smoke doesn't go for it. He's like, oh, that's the problem. He doesn't have any vision. But that scene where you're talking about they're all outside doing the Irish jig, it's so double-sided because a peace and love and everything like that. But I feel like a lot of folks either might not have caught it or get it. Like Remic was like Sammy before he turned because they showed that character in the beginning. Oh, these people that can transcend with music. It looks like Remic when they talk about the Irish version of it. It looks like Remic. So it seemed like he used to be one of those. He lost it due to vampirism. All right, I'll get this with Sammy. And that scene outside where there's a hive mind or he's like showing a hive mind just like trying to recreate what Sammy did. It's a lot of folks felt it was eerie. I felt that shit was sad because yeah, you're sharing this hive-minded experience with all these folks. They can know the memory, but they can't know the experience. They can know the words, but they can't know like the meaning behind the true meaning behind the words because they're all from different cultures. So it doesn't have the same effect as when Sammy was doing it. And that's such an important part of the film too. Like just seeing like the way he was able to like bring cultures together. Whereas Remick is, I like this. I'm gonna bring it back to comics, like the symbiote, like just taking over. So it's in going back to that choice. It's such a hard choice. Like, all right, I can get out of this race shit, but is it only as long as you're the one in control though? I don't get the autonomy to myself or anything like that. So it's such a hard choice. And also the time period, this was after World War One or World War?
Yeah, after World War One.
After World War, yeah, they were in World War One because especially when you like the journey of them trying to find. The root of it to me, the whole movie was like, yo, these guys are just trying to find freedom. And then he was talking about, yo, German trenches, motherfucker. Like, we were in there and we couldn't find it here, we couldn't find it there. Then we came back home. And like, all right, is this the only way to be free by joining up with this guy, but we lose a piece of ourselves? Like,
Yeah, but it's okay.
It's like 50, it's a 50-50, it's a coin toss. So I love the conundrum of that. Yeah, we know this is bad, but get out of this. We can get out of this stuff, though. We can get out of this stuff here, though.
Here's another thing I'm going to just throw out there now. And believe me, I'm a straight kind of root for the good guys kind of person. But I got to look at Remy. This is the Irish vampire,
Remic.
right? Yeah.
Remic.
One could look at him, and I did, in terms of as a storyteller. He's lost. Everything's been taken from him. And he's lived that existence for it. My impression was years.
Yeah.
Many
Centuries.
years. We don't even know how he got here, but okay. And if you think of it that way, then him pulling or trying to pull these people into this community, where was his community before them?
Yep.
So is this loner who's now feeling desperate for, or what is that story? And Ryan's script fills in so much, but it leaves you with so much to think about. And what was the story if one were going to do prequels, or if you're going to do side stories coming off of this, what was going on in the Indian village?
Yep.
Let's go back to the Choctaws and hear this side of this, because they knew what they were dealing with. And he says to the lady, "If you let him in, we can help you now. But if you, okay,
Hey, pack it up.
Yeah, let's get home." And it's okay. So what is this guy's story? And watching all of that, and I'm not going to describe the ending because we four know what it is. But even in that moment, just before, he's still speaking. The point that he tries to make to Sammy, it's his plea. And I'm thinking, son of a bitch, it's Darth Vader with Luke just before he dies.
Yep.
It's another one of those moments. Anyway, I just wanted to put that in there.
I'd like to throw a couple of interpretations on that moment. You guys seem very sure that Remic was a vampire, like from the old country. I think if he was a vampire in the old country, he would have went east, not across the ocean to the west, because then you have a limited food supply and The whole place you're on is made of steaks. It's not, I don't see where that would be. So I always thought, not always, but one of the things I developed was that I thought Remic was turned
Yeah.
shortly after arriving in this country. And I think you can look at vampirism as part of the dark reflection or a reflection of dark America, because America F's with everybody. Only the very, very few live a different life than the vast majority of us. So that's why I thought that would be a stronger metaphor, but I'm not putting metaphors in Ryan Coogler's script. The other thing with him wanting to gather more, again, I think that goes back to Coogler's background or upbringing as a Baptist and really knowing his religion. The whole idea of one interpretation of the devil is that he's in such pain, the only way he gets to relieve it is by sharing it with others. And there's always that hunger to make more. Positive and opposite of that would be our natural calling or inclination to continue the race, right? To have kids and all that stuff. This would be their version of that. It allows them to play with seduction and temptation, which is clearly spiritual, but then he throws the political interpretation in, basically saying this is a better deal than what you're getting. Then it was really interesting when it was Stack who got turned or Smoke who got turned. Stack. And he says it's better.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get to play around with, how much of that is that thing in front of his brother still Stack, and how much is that the vampire drive to make more vampires? So again, there's so much of this to chew on and to play around with. Let's talk about how well it was shot and how beautiful the cinematography is. We also have to talk about performances, and then I want to get to music. So stick around, folks. So what do we think about how it was shot? Stephen Van Patten, you have some experience with. What do you think?
A little here and there. No, it was phenomenal. Phenomenal. It was beautiful. And I actually got to see it on IMAX. So I'm I'm doing this practically. It was it was amazing. It was I guess that's the good thing about being a director that can command a budget.
Yeah.
Also,
that's true.
Because you get to that point where you can be like, all right, I can shoot this movie, but I need this.
And then the choices that he makes. If you look at Wakanda, it was so colorful and so dynamic. And part of that was a nod to Kirby's eye for detail, and part of that was true African heritage being represented. But here, there's so much more. If that's colorful, Sinners is muted. And it feels like the red clay mud of the region. The palette they used was just impressive, but it also helped draw us in.
What were you going to finish saying there, though, Stephen?
Just to piggyback off that last point, I'll say that it starts off very bright and almost like Southern, not necessarily Southern Gothic, but definitely the feel is very, okay, we're in daytime. And then as the dread really starts to kick in, specifically with the Choctaw encounter, then that muted thing that you just mentioned, like that starts to seep in, and it creates this almost not necessarily claustrophobic thing, but definitely like the jeopardy is mounting as things become, like you said, muted.
In the beginning, Smoke and Stack are in control of everything. They feel it's bright, and they feel like they have agency and all that stuff. And as the light drains away with the coming of darkness, again supporting the metaphor of vampirism and all that stuff, but also of choices and, like you were saying, appropriation, where there's less and less of who you really are and all that sort of stuff. There's so many places I want to go that would be in another part of the conversation. I don't know.
So let Omar do his thing then. Let's see.
Omar, do your thing. Damn it! What do you think we got you here for?
I'm really just good with, like, the writing and things like that. I'm like, this looks great, yes.
Pretty
But I guess
colors,
like
yes.
you always hear like I think the South is referred to as like God's country. I really got like a sense of that, like the way the open field shots and everything like that. The drive back with Sammy Stack and I'm forgetting dude the blues player they had like the belt
Delta Slim.
yes
Delta, yeah.
belt slim them like the shot of them like coming back. My favorite is the shot of them all setting up, which comes at the end, and the deleted scene is now online of them all setting up for the juke joint. That I think
Right.
the shots in the juke joint and the setting up for that because it gives like a horror version of House Party from or Class Act or like the oh yeah this House Party thing going on, but like seeing like where the bones of that was made from. And it's in the lighting for black folks in that spot, and just the way like that was shot, and also you got the way the way the camera moves when we see Sammy bring all these different cultures together to like through the transcending of time and everything, how the camera pans through all that. I don't think that was one long take, wasn't it? I don't know if there was any cuts within that.
There might have been some cuts occasionally, but there was a
Okay.
lot of long
Yeah,
takes.
it was like such a long take and seeing like the folks move. Like it's
Now
seeing
we're
how
there.
seeing how seeing how someone's mind works to catch for the eye for all that to happen, as well as and even like the Irish jig outside when they were doing that. There's a scene of Ryan Coogler sitting down, what like the camera's going. You see him under the camera as it's like panning over him as he's watching. He's like, yeah, like yeah, when you know you're doing like you're cooking, like I'm gonna get him with this shit right here. So I love folks that have a good eye for that. Which is why it's always great to see his films.
I interpreted that they experience you really it touched the experiences and you that there's more to it says especially these two groups than there is to push them apart. Plus the vampirism to go with Steve's that's evil.
Omar, you were like rocking when he started to say that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Your impression of it?
And I did a video on it, like talking about that exact same thing. Like, all right, let's say there were these Sammy and Remic were like two different sides of the same coin, like in the music. Like, where one, I brought folks together, I transcended time, whereas Remic is trying to remember a time past when he's doing the thing. Another thing I was thinking about was Sammy's father was played. Oh, I guess I can bring it into that later, but I'll go with church music and the blues. When Sammy's father was talking about, oh, that's devil music, but I want you to do like this church music there. There was a great line online, or someone said they'll see it as a sin if they can't profit from it. They'll see it as a sin, and I'm like that, like, god damn, because he wanted him in the church to bring people. He just wanted to use his gift in a different way, but he still wanted it for your own means, which is to bring people in to the church. Whereas he wanted, I'm just trying to get free with this. So I found that conflict between the blues and
The arts.
yeah, the church and the art. That was I'm like I kept going like it's ever since I heard that quote, I was like, yeah.
Steve, any
Oh,
thoughts about the music?
just the usual. I'll say so. Of course, I was moved by the whole panning around and the connections between the hip hop and the blues and all the other sort of like tableaus that occurred while that was happening. And of course, in my own head, I was amused by the roof being on fire, and I
Yeah.
made that little joke to myself and the whole thing.
Y'all not concerned?
Yeah, exactly, right.
Nah, Steve's talking about some club song that he used to dance to.
100%.
Yeah, you mentioned Kid and Play.
All you needed was Boogaloo Shrimp to show up. What y'all doing in here? No, but I felt again, and that's part of what drew me into the whole comparison of the cultural appropriation and the whole because what happens, Remick hears the music, and it to me it's like, how do I make this work for me?
Yes.
And then the other interesting thing is he doesn't even get into Wumi's character. He doesn't even get into how he wanted to get his claws into her until he knows he can't, because he was also after her because she had the power of interpretation and the hoodoo and the whole thing. He was after her too, but that was like something that was something he was building up to, I feel like. And then it's not until things really start hitting the head, then it's wait, whoa, she can't die. I wanted that. Yeah, again, just the whole cultural appropriation thing. That the music took me there because it was like that first bit was so authentic, and it was so so based in what we were doing at historically, because what did they say, where did the blues come from? It came from our collective experience of oppression. It came from our misery. Bill Burr will tell you that in a minute, and he's arguing with his black wife. It's how we got through stuff. No, I don't really say that because I'm a Bill Burr fan, but that's a large part of it for me. And yeah, actually, I need to download that shit and then
Yeah.
go dance around in the shower. But that's a whole.
And then there's music. And all of these layers compose the experience we have with our films. And what Ryan did equally well, and I would say, and this is going to help you lead into the cast and crew, Chris, is he picked absolutely the right sounds and the right people to portray, to contribute to create and design the vision that he had for this story. Because the music, whatever music within the film you are listening to, the blues, the Irish jigs, the some of the just the incidental music, it all keeps you in that world. You are experiencing that world. You feel encompassed in this experience. And as I said earlier, by the time bad things start to happen, you can't leave. And this is, I've seen the film one time. I may never see it again, although I'm thinking, yeah, I probably will. But so much of it is still in here. I'm still rolling through it. I'm still asking questions about it. I'm still enjoying moments. I'm still feeling bad for certain characters. And the music sits just a little bit off in the background, reminding me of certain moments, like that ride in the car and how they ease from the storytelling into that music. And then that music takes what that music does is it reinforces the emotional feeling that you're getting from that ride in the car, from that story. So you don't just have this character talking and telling a story, you have his emotions within that. And then the music, now the music's going to keep playing in your head and you're going to remember the story that goes with it. So you can't get away from it. And if you heard the actor
Delroy Lindo.
Delroy
Lindo, right. If you hear his interview as to how that moment came about,
Yep.
part of that was improv. He just went with it. And Ryan, being the director, went, yeah, keep the camera rolling. And all of that was what an actor inspired, a talented actor inspired by great writing in the right moment, the right environment. This is what comes of it. And so we have powerful moments like that supported by the music. And I think that's just, again, a wonderful, more flowers, Mr. Coogler. FTD is here at the door. More flowers to you for being able to pick the right people and then letting them do their thing so that everybody brings their A game and you get the end result, which is serving the story.
Cool. I want to add one last thing about Remic and music and stuff. I had he's more complicated for me because there is that what you were calling appropriation, but I saw it also part at metaphorically that works, but it also works as the vampire need to spread its seed or bring its power stronger by bringing in more. But you had mentioned, Steve, that when Remick hears Sammy playing, he's thinking, how can I exploit this? Which is a great metaphor for how all of black music was stolen by white people. But then again, everything else, but definitely that. But they made him very Irish and very much like slaves coming over to America, where they stripped them of their name, their family, their religion. The one thing they couldn't strip from slaves was the music, because they would sing in the fields of this or that, and the white people didn't understand the songs they were singing or the lyrics, all that sort of stuff. The same thing was true in Ireland. They wouldn't even let them dance. That's what that very rigid step dancing, because they didn't want them building up their arms to attack and all this stupid shit. But the pull of music in Irish culture, whether it's the mournful almost like an Irish version of blues, or the more jovial, despite being starved by the English Empire, reduced to one product, potatoes, and when they went
Yeah.
bad, everyone was starving, and England didn't give a crap. So I thought he was pulled first by the power of the music. I think he struggles with whatever's, and I think that's really an interesting take on vampires. Again, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about everything with Sinners is because he's always, much like Shakespeare, every line is affecting
Yes.
3 or 4
Yes.
different levels
Yes.
of commentary or theme or story or metaphor, and that's why this is worth the time we're spending on it. That idea of a conflicted vampire or monster is so much more interesting than just a fiend.
The one note.
I don't think we can conflate, oh, so appropriation, people are conflicted about that. The history doesn't really bear that argument out. I'm really talking about the vampire fighting things that drive vampires to and the remnants of their souls. That made it really interesting for me. And the performances delivered by the actors. Wanted to name some names and then see what we can talk about. So we had
Mr.
Michael
Ryan.
B. Jordan as Stack.
Hold it, Chris. Hold
Just
it.
before you jump into the cast, when looking at the Rocky Road to Dublin and reading like through each line and everything, and then finding out more lines like, oh, the troubles of women face in tomb, that as I was reading it, I'm like, and hearing the sound of it, I'm like, this dude's rapping his ass off. This dude, like the
Oh,
beat
yeah.
there, keep like, yo, I'm like, this dude is just, and even like going through the meter and everything, I'm like, yo, this dude is really rhyming. It made me think of other, like, as it's in the video, I was like, yo, reminds me of We Gonna Make It from the Locks, and just seeing like the cross reference from that, like this song, it's why so specifically that song was chosen, a song about oppression and everything like that. Yeah. This song correlates with them, but also like even the meter of how I'm like, this dude's rhyming his ass off, man. Like, I was like, let me look up who wrote this.
There were many verses to that song, and they handpicked the ones they wanted to affect, to
exactly
augment what they were doing. Fantastic. It's great that you interrupted and pulled me back from the automatic pilot.
So the thing I'll piggyback off that with.
Oh, we're piggybacking.
Is going back to the full-blown cultural appropriation of what I was complaining about as far as the demise of socially conscious hip-hop and everything like that. The record label exec is not gonna come in and be like, look, so we're culture appropriating your shit. They're going to say, look, I'm gonna make you famous, I'm gonna get you a whip, I'm gonna get you this money, but you have to do what I want you to do. And you don't really get hit with that first. It's more the, look, I'm going to make you rich and famous, which in its own way is
trap.
It's a trap.
Because
once you're rich and famous, then you're addicted to being rich and famous, much like a vampire is addicted to blood.
And they would always do that. They'd also do the thing that we've done to different countries around the world, collectively meaning white people, and whether it's a European empire or America had a part of it. But they would do all these loans and stuff, and then you'd never pay the loans back, and they would have these whole countries in hock. It's the same thing with the young musician. Yeah, buy the mansion, buy the yacht, buy all the. Yeah, we build you for all that. Yeah. Oh, you want caviar every night? Sure. We build your ass for that at exorbitant fees. And it's all that to keep them down.
Right.
The entire, everybody in this cast is down by that oppression.
Yes.
And ultimately it becomes either take me to your leader or I'm going to make you the leader that works through me.
Yeah. And there was this moment of kindness in the theater when I first saw it. That the credits started going, and I was like, not a Marvel movie, so I started leaving, and the guy says, wait.
Yeah.
I was like, excuse me? He goes, just wait. So we did, and got to see that whole ending. And I had to go back. I had been a step or two down. I went back up, and I thanked him for that piece of generosity. That ending is the two parts. But let's talk first about the clan coming in. The guy who rented or sold the barn to them was setting them up. There's an evil waiting in line behind the other evils. It just shows you, like, there's just no winning. Of course he's got to come out guns blazing. There's no other choice. There was a moment I was able to root for But then that final ending where it has continued, whether you want to argue about he found a way out of the appropriation of this and that, or what that meant, that ending for the vampires. I just think that the casting of older Sammy,
Oh yeah.
I was so grateful for.
You know, Ryan, I'm sure had that in his head. Yeah,
That was his uncle's favorite musician.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So the guy whose first gave him some inspiration for this, he wanted to pay homage to that. And it was so cool that that person was
Still
agreeable.
with us. Yeah,
He's the last man standing
yeah,
of that whole crew.
yeah.
That's sad.
So actually, it started to talk about the cast. So this is
Yes,
we're
let's
gonna-
do a
yeah.
little rundown so we talk about how stacked this cast is. Michael B. Jordan, Haley
Twice.
Steinfeld, Wunmi Musaku, young Miles Caton did a great job. Lee Jung Lee, she was Grace Chow. Jamie Lawson, Omar Benson, he probably has another name there. Delroy Lindo, we talked about, Lola
yeah.
Kirk. I guess I'm going to spoil it. Buddy Guy, Nathaniel Archin, Jake O'Connell as Remic, Saul Williams, Jedediah, and Imoni Ellison as Teresa. God damn, a lot of talent in front of the cam.
I
didn't
wanted
know
to see the auditions myself. I wanted to see the auditions for this film. I really, I know it's no way.
He's a relationship guy. I don't know if he had a lot of auditions. It'd be interesting to find out.
No, there's got to have been some sort of rite of passage because yeah, there was sure he would know some people's talent level, but and I have to just jump in here and say that as much as I just think that pretty women are wonderful in all shapes and sizes.
How many bad Santas do we have with how many sex scenes? Okay, a protagonist. And I'm not saying necessarily just a solid love interest. He hint at it in the second Blade movie.
yes.
And then, of course, the third, that's hot garbage. It's like Hollywood shies away. Unless certain people have their fingers in the pie, they shy away from it. They don't know how to handle it. They don't know what to do. So that in and of itself, it, along with all the other stuff we have talked about, that in and of itself puts the movie in a whole other shelf.
Yeah.
Damn Skippy.
The relationships, especially with women, they felt as strong and as deep as Denzel and I forget who played his wife in Fences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
How to Get Away with Murder?
Viola
Davis.
Viola Davis, yeah.
Right.
Those two, you could feel had lived life
Yeah.
together. And it felt like her, I wish I had looked up one of these characters' name. Her,
Annie.
what?
Annie.
Annie felt like she knew him and she knew herself. That kind of, and there was so much unspoken authority and unspoken love and just it was just realness. That's half that's on the script, but the other half is what she can bring to it. And to be still and get that performance out. Man, I thought she was amazing.
Which was the opposite of Stack and
Haley
Mary.
Steinfeld.
Stack and Mary were there very, it was not like exuberant in a bad way, but like very showy and everything like that because they couldn't before, but like it's two different, one's more subtle where the other's more boisterous. I was surprised to see Saul Williams named on that list. I didn't recognize him. I did not recognize him until I saw with two friends from Malika that said, like, oh, that was Saul Williams. I was like, I knew he looked so familiar. Saul Williams, man, hip hop artist, spoken word. He was a slam poet from the golden age, like the early 90s as well. Won the New York Grand Slam, I want to say either in 98 or maybe even before that. I think it was like 98, 99, maybe even earlier than that. So seeing him be the preacher made so much sense because the perfect
But again,
role.
on several levels, it made
Exactly. And then seeing him at the very end too, where just to tie back to the music a little bit, where he's telling Sammy, "Oh, give up the ghost, or give up the music and everything." And that tightness, Sammy had that guitar around, and then seeing him like, then we saw, oh no, he didn't give it up. Like the perfect. It's a small role, but it was like the perfect like role to accentuate Sammy's character as well. Perfect person in such a small role, but I made that role bigger to accentuate like how like Sammy's still going off on his own. So I loved I loved all of their casting, but like seeing him there from the poetry world, like, what? Not even recognizing him, like that's how lost he was in the role. I was like, oh, that's actor. He was also on Girlfriends. He had the best episodes on there. Him and Common, they were beefing. It was great.
Yeah, just nobody came through that production looking weak, tired, or out of place. Everybody held their own. I think was it Jamie Lawson? Was that the girl that Sammy had his moment
Oh,
with?
Perlene.
Yeah, yeah. That was yeah. Even her, because from the moment we saw her at the train station, you're going, whoa, okay, she's sweet on him, but then she's married. But yeah, I know, I don't think that's going to be a problem. You see where this is going, and it could have gotten raunchy. And baby, let's just. But there was a sweetness about how they played with each other. And Sammy had no real game. He was just being honest. It was like, you're beautiful, and boy, I want to, and blah, blah, blah. So there was a certain honesty about even their aspects with it, which is different from Smoke and his lady, which is different
Yep.
from Jack and his. So there's three different relationships playing out in that moment. And then there's a relationship between the husband and wife, the Chinese husband and wife.
Bo and Grace. Yeah.
They have an understanding. They have
Yep.
lived. They have built a life together. They have a daughter who's got a stick up her, but that's a whole nother thing. It's
She
just
was so perfectly adolescent, wasn't she?
yeah, she was judgment,
He's like,
judgment. Right?
y'all going out there to get drunk. Whatever. I watched the store. Fine.
I'm gonna go over to Sammy's father's church.
Yeah, heathens.
It was like all of those levels of life. Again, going back to what I said at the very beginning, that town, that village, that community, those people, you knew them. They were there, and for what happened to happen to them hurts. But then again, that's what the film was about.
And this is a completely different way to build stakes, a completely different way to say this matters than, oh, one of our cast members must die. Ta-da! These are like,
Wearing the red
we're
shirt.
going to make you feel for everybody.
Yeah.
So any single one of them is going to hurt. And then we could play out that theme where the American monster takes everybody, or white European, whichever bucket you want to put it in. Everyone gets swallowed up.
Yeah.
And that way the Irish are just being used to continue the appropriation or whatever.
I'm sorry, you're going to say something, then I want to say something, and also I have to watch time. Just want to let you know about
I
that.
was going to go back to, do we need to talk about any other cast members?
I want to give a nod then to Omar. Just give a quick nod.
Oh no, I was just talking about what Mr. Ryan said about Remic. I'm like, oh, he became what he hated. He became what he hated with the running Christianity and shit like that. But then you're taunting Sammy with it right there, and then being like, and then wanted to amass everyone. You became what you hated, what drove you out, what you hated, which is I never tire of that when seeing a villain, or I didn't really see him as a villain. It's more like a force of nature, but seeing that with an antagonist, I never tire of seeing the different ways of that happening.
And it was perfectly hellish evil.
It was a small technology to make the weight of him when he handed. It was in the very beginning when they're against the cars and he handed them the smoke or the cigarette. Yeah, there was a technology they were talking about to make that look like the weight of something being handed to them as well. And then there's so many. I usually hate when when a director adds notes in after the fact that we don't get to see, but having seen the way those characters interacted with each other, the differences and really on one actor playing two entirely different characters, I didn't mind hearing Ryan Coogler talk later on about how Stack dressed Smoke, and like you saw like how his hands were all fidgeting and everything like that, which is why Stack always rolled the cigarette for him as well. And that coming back, and we got alluded to that in the very end where he's trying to roll it himself and asking dude like, hey, you got a cigarette before he puts one in him, like. I always appreciate the little details of an actor to make a character, but then you have to appreciate so many of the little details that Michael B. Jordan had to create for these two different. Also a method actor, but he's not like he told people on set, oh, when I'm Stack, I'll be more joyful. When I'm around a Smoke, I'm going to be more like reserved and everything like that. So all these tiny little details you have to do to build a character as an actor, to multiply that for two different people with two different personalities, like they've been getting on this acting before, but I'm like, I like this acting. So this one I think helped solidify. I'm like, I'm getting up there. He's getting up there.
You know that choice with the cigarette rolling?
Yes.
I immediately echoed back to they were in World War II. I think Stack.
They were in World War One.
His fine motor was
That's the other thing too. There's throwaway lines, although they're not thrown away, but there are these little incidental lines that are referencing the life experiences they had since they left that town.
Yep.
And they went to war.
Yep.
What they experienced there. And coming back from that, white soldiers coming back from war, either 1, 2, Nam, Korea, whatever, have PTSD before we had the phrase. A lot of them could not adjust to civilian life, having seen what they'd seen, done what they'd done. So these two guys came back, whatever their life experience was before, now they've gone through war. Now they come back to the States and they wind up in Chicago and they get involved in that life, which is a hard life, which is a brutal life. And they have to make it work for them because once again, yeah, they're working with the mob, but they ain't Italian. They are not.
And Irish either. Yep.
I'm certain some of the mob was just not kind.
They might have been Sicilian.
To say the least.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Try passing that dollar bill. So when they finally come home, they are coming home with a ton of baggage. And the possibilities, that's why I say the story leaves you with a lot of things to ponder long after you've seen the film, a lot of things to project or assume or deduce, wonder about. Because there's all these little things when you start to remember those lines. Oh, yeah, and he said, and they did. So focusing on Jordan, yeah, two different characters, both have to be whole. They have to be whole human beings to you because you are going to portray them. And unlike stage production, where it's linear, you start at the beginning, you move all the way through 1 act, 2 acts, whatever. Film shoots out of sequence a good deal of the time.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that. Like, let's go. Oh,
yeah.
Out of sequence, sure.
You can shoot out of sequence. And and quite often what happens too is you've got multiple takes.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of something, you're in a room, cut, no, we gotta, what? And so you gotta keep being able to go back to or hold on to who you are. And for him to do that double within whatever the shooting schedule was, powerful man, powerful performer.
Yeah. It would be, and I know he came on as two different characters. It would be interesting to find out if, since they were saying, we're shooting this scene, right? Did he have to, in the morning, do all the stack side of the scene, and then in the afternoon, switch it all up? Think about the stress of changing your entire mindset for a different, completely different performance in that same day to get that scene
from a
down.
production
Logically, it would, you would think it would be required to do.
Speaking from a production standpoint, I would assume, I don't know for sure, but I would assume from a production standpoint, they did shoot that way.
Yeah, so that,
you've got not only the actor has to, but you've got wardrobe and makeup and all those other things to
all
deal
of that.
with.
Sure,
You know, yeah.
And I know it was multiple times, like the Rocky Road to Dublin, somewhere in something I read preparing for this, it was 5 nights of shooting, whatever, and I don't know which of them is in that scene. There's one's dancing and one's inside.
Yeah.
So they shoot that at different times, but you still have to have.
Yeah.
And if they were doing a conversation, that would be, you know, all right, we're gonna do these pages. The morning when they'd have to do one character, afternoon or evening, that's a lot. His performance is they need to be celebrated.
And let's also give a nod to Ryan too, because once again, and I watched.
Thank you. Oh, the other Ryan.
Yeah, yes, Chris.
I had to do it once. That's
your brother from another mother. I also, from a lot of my students who are, because I'm teaching screenwriting, but they're getting exposed to, especially in their first year, they're getting exposed to cinematography, directing, production, all of that. So a lot is coming at them. And one of the things I have to remind them sometimes as they feel bad about how a particular little film exercise turned out. So some of you may discover that you like writing, but you really want to do cinematography, or you really want to do sound, or you really want to do. Some of you may find that you're going to be a director, but you're not going to do this or this. They're individual skill sets. And so to be able to have the vision, to then sit and write the script, to then go and direct the film, to then go after you have all of these pieces with a good editor, a damn good editor, put it all together cohesively and effectively. That's a lot of time and talent and focus. And again, Coogler, he doesn't work on a half-hour sitcoms.
Yeah.
he works on monster-sized projects, no pun intended. And unlike Panther, which was a huge opus, this still had a healthy sized crew, cast, and production needs and necessities. And you got to give him his props, more flowers, for how it all did come together so magnificently.
Agreed. Stephen?
I think Stephen.
Maybe frozen again. There he is.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there you're back. He's back.
Yeah, we weren't sure whether you were frozen or asleep. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Stephen took a nap there.
No, I definitely, because I know how production schedules operate sometimes, and actor availability and all that other stuff. So getting him together, like I said in the very beginning, actually, it's like the fact that they made it look as seamless as they did, and the performances along with that. Like, you want to say he should be up for an Oscar? Will that happen? I don't know. It's still a horror movie. The fact that they're due, even when they are hitting the bar this high, well, we'll see.
I got to tell you, and Coogler said something similar in the New Yorker interview. He said genres, putting things into genres annoys him because it creates like a hierarchy. And he doesn't think stories are ever one thing. And this is a much social commentary, period piece, community, like Salem's Lot, very much music. It's part musical. There are so many genres in this. And I know I share your fear, Stephen, that they're going to say, "Oh, horror film dismissed," but that's it. And no diss to horror, but it's not good enough to just call it that.
Yeah,
I think there's so much more to this. I know you've been in Soul Scream. I'm always celebrating hybrid horror. I believe in that just strengthens whatever it is, whatever story that you're telling.
Indeed.
Just God, this movie should be studied. I'm sorry, Steve.
And it has been this evening, and we've done a magnificent job of it.
Last round of comments. I know I'm done.
I'm not a horror person, but yeah, to me I was like, this because it's not as simple as just jumps. I hate jump scares. I hate like the slow. I hate horror. So seeing this, it was like more like a thriller. I'm like, oh, it's almost like a Black Swan type thriller. But I do like that. Oh, I love when a person or a writer or creator is able to take something and just turn it on end, so that you really can't qualify this as, you cannot. It'd be a crime to just say, oh, it's just a horror film. It'd be a crime to just do that. So it makes you think about things differently and look at like the movie in these genres, for categorizing that way, to make them look at them differently, where you can't we can't qualify this as just that. This is so much more. And now we have to look at all the things that come out of that as so much more as well. And it feels like it feels like a certain movie that comes out where it gives a genre or gives a category a fresh set of eyes for other ones that might follow as well. Because I didn't know we could do that with this. Now we'll try to do that as well. So I love things like that reinvent the category. And Sinners does that.
I agree with you. Steven, what do you say, sir?
We've lost him again.
Looks so skeptical.
He's back. He's back. I think Steven's Superman, and he goes out quickly and stops a robbery and comes back. That's what I think.
What were you going to say, Stephen?
I was going to say that, speaking as somebody who never thought horror and musical would work I never, like, Dracula the musical was on Broadway at one point, and I'm like, why? Is somebody just burning through money, or is that the mob like trying to launder some shit? What's going on? But
glad you didn't make your payments. Listen, bro.
Exactly. What are you, like a C major when you sing? Anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna let you work it off.
We're gonna let you work it off. Red Fox back in the day in Vegas. But it's like it's a genre bender.
Yeah.
That's how I'll classify it. And it hits all the, no pun intended, it hit all the notes, and it did everything. You leave the theater with all the feels. And if you didn't walk out of this movie feeling a certain way, then you're dead inside.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
So we know you got bit.
Yeah.
I don't want Sinners to be limited as a black movie, as a vampire movie, as a time period. You don't think of Jaws as a horror movie. It is. but it's more than that. Godfather is a crime story. It's a gangster. No, it's seen as more than that. This is more than that. There should be a genre.
Yeah.
And the Oscar for the more than that feature.
The MTT Awards this evening will go to, yes.
All right. Did we cut you off, Steve, or is that you?
No, that was
cool.
that was
Now let's put Omar on the hot seat.
You mentioned before about
He was ready for
what's
that
it
hot
called?
seat, Steve.
The sequel and everything, sequels and things like that, and such as that. Were you gonna, if is that, are we at the? I don't want to jump ahead.
Sure.
Okay, so just
That's an Alex thing.
very quickly, Coogler said several times he's not interested in doing a sequel.
Yes.
So there's just been some remarks in media.
Yes.
I can only qualify it that way. That Warner Brothers wants to go ahead or will go ahead with doing the sequel.
Sin again.
Because this is $350 million that came in on this
When
film.
Sally sinned Harry.
And I don't know what you're just keeping at it, Chris. I don't know what it cost to produce this film, but they're happy with 350 mil coming in.
Yeah.
And they want to milk that cow for as long as they can. So I can understand Warner Brothers wanting to do it. I'm not down for it. Obviously, supposedly Coogler is definitely not down for it. What the legal ramifications of this, if they try to go ahead, that's for lawyers. But I just wanted to bring that up, that as far as audiences are concerned, it worked. Coogler seems to feel, yes, it worked. A lot of the actors in it feel, yes, it worked. And now the industry is going, oh, goddamn, that worked. What can we do? How can we clone this quick?
For writers, the obvious exercise is, do you see a second story in there?
Without giving away absolute the ending, I would say there's an opening for it, but I don't see a need to go through.
Yeah.
Between the last shootout and the final scene?
Yeah.
What happened during that time?
No, but no, there's
you know what I'm saying?
Question.
Because
there's a big question, which I'm not going to throw onto this episode because we spoiled enough already. So I'll just simply say that there's at least two places towards the end where, yes, if you wanted to do that, you could, but why?
Yeah, I think we're agreeing about what you could do, but I don't see a reason to do it.
And we're agreeing on that too.
There you go. That's why this show works.
I don't think it could be. It would have to be a. I think if they were to do one, it would have to be a prequel. I think with the natives, the Choctaw Indians, or how Remic got turned. But also, there's something beautiful in just letting it be. Shogun was a great series. Oh, this is a banger, and I thought there's gonna be another follow up. And William, my friend William Evans, was like, no, this is it, just like the book, and this is it. I was like, oh, okay. And then Hulu's like, nah, run it back. But it's like, sometimes you gotta let a story finish. Like you're like, this is it, let this be. And that anticipation for wanting something else is what drives this thing. A sequel can work with certain stories, a prequel can work with certain stories, but there are some stories like, yo, you gotta let this be. Like a story sometimes does need to end. Let that end. There's no sequel to like Hercules, like, and then he like, or
there is no sequel to Casablanca.
Yeah, like
none was needed. This is on that same level.
Is it?
I think so. I think it's a great, really great movie for the ages.
Yeah.
Not like Alex's ages. That's too many. Smaller than that.
Like, I'm definitely on. Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go, Stephen. Go, please.
The last thing I was going to say was, all right, yes, I am very curious to see if they decide to do a Choctaw full-blown Dusk Till Dawn type thing. I'm into that, just from the way those guys represented themselves.
Yeah.
But I'm not up for. I'm not up for Sinners Boogaloo Shrimp. I'm not up for them traipsing through whatever. I'm good with them not moving forward with any of the other stuff. So yeah.
If it doesn't have Coogler with it, then I'm like, how can it be worth it?
And then there's that.
I wouldn't want to be the director that followed him on.
Yeah, not.
Bring Kid and Play back.
Not for this.
Guys, we really got to say our good nights or goodbyes or good afternoons, depending on when people are listening to this. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you're listening to this. Guys, thank you so much. Really, it's a pleasure.
Really appreciate it.
Chris, what do you want people to do?
I cannot believe there's a single one of you out there who hasn't hit subscribe. Did you not hear Stephen? Did you not hear Omar? What more do you want from us?
see where I get it from though. Like, like
You everybody.
Peace.
Gotta get home safe, folks. Get coffee, donuts, whatever. Bye-bye.